I am deeply troubled by recent efforts by the government to crack down on civil society groups and independent media. As we all know, a democracy cannot exist without the ability of its citizens to freely exercise their voices. I look forward to hearing from our esteemed panel of witnesses on how Congress can shape policies that will assist in promoting democratic principles in Azerbaijan in order to strengthen our ties in the region.
Support stability in Azerbaijan by all means, but only through greater democracy and observance of international human rights standards, and release the political prisoners. Only then is it possible to talk about a strategic partnership. If we do not have progress in these areas, then I think it's time to consider sanctions, including travel and other sanctions on officials who are responsible for the arrest and detention of political prisoners, and consider a travel warning to Americans contemplating travel to Azerbaijan. I think we've reached the point in our relationship that it's time to be concerned about the people. That's why the release of the political prisoners is so important. These prisoners and their families, and the American citizens, some of whom are here today, and their families, deserve that kind of attention in our relationship that we have not given until up to this point.
Last month, I spoke out in regard to the latest scapegoat of Azerbaijan authorities, Radio Free Europe. The government-sponsored raid on Baku bureau and arrest and continued detention of Kadisha Ismailov, as well as others, raised serious questions and concerns over the intentions of the Azerbaijan leadership and the desire to partner with the U.S. and the West as a whole. It should be noted that the regular conspiratorial pronouncements of Azeri officials against the U.S. and the West raised similar concerns. Yet many of us who watch Azerbaijan continue to hope to see a change in the course of Azerbaijan. In this way, I urge the U.S. administration to prioritize these concerns when addressing Azerbaijan leadership. In particular, I hope that our government will work to reopen Radio Free Europe in Baku and ensure a safe passage of Amin Soleimanov, the husband of a U.S. Army servicewoman who spent the last 6 months sheltered in the Swiss embassy in Baku.
This Ramiz Mektiyev piece was very telling in rejecting a lot of values that President Aliyev said that he endorsed. So we're really in a very, very difficult place. And the regional balance question is not going away.
I have been hoping for a long time that there would be more organized attention in the U.S. to Azerbaijan and to the Caucasus. I think this hearing is an indication that there is a growing understanding of the difficulties in the U.S.-Azerbaijan relationship and the need to work with the Azerbaijani government and with other forces in Azerbaijani society to improve this relationship. The first step, I think there has to be steps from both countries, but at the end of the day, the U.S. is a superpower. And if the U.S. wants to see a certain type of development in Azerbaijan, then the U.S. has to take a step.
I mean, I think there have been a number of specific actions that the government has taken recently that has, unfortunately, on the negative side, brought attention to Azerbaijan. I think the large number of political prisoners, but especially the shutdown of RFERL and Hadji's imprisonment connected with that, have sort of galvanized attention. And you don't have to be a Republican or a Democrat, as the members of the committee showed, to be concerned about that. So it's not that something changed on the U.S. side. I think it's the steps that Azerbaijan unfortunately has taken in recent months. So.
Yet we hear that top-level Azeri officials like Ali Hassanov mentioned that he doesn't see any problem between the two countries.
Well, I always follow very carefully what Ali Hassanov says. But in this case, I think he needs to read the paper that Ramiz Mektiyev wrote, because that is a problem. That is a definite problem. I cannot recall, in certainly my experience on the ground or since coming back here, that a senior Azeri political figure has attacked the United States in writing, fomenting a color revolution and creating a fifth column in Azerbaijan. So, you know, I do pay attention to what Ali Hassanov says. In this case, I'm just not sure. I see things the same way he does.